Happy New Year. My name's Matt, and welcome to Bone Deep. This is a little video project where I'm going to be journaling my use of peptides or my trial with peptides with a body that has osteogenesis imperfecta or brittle bones. The footage you're about to watch is something that I recorded about a week before Christmas, and I don't know if you've heard of Christmas, but it gets out of hand. So I didn't actually get a chance to edit that footage, or I couldn't afford to hire someone else to edit it for me either. So I might do something with that a little bit later, make it more palatable. But at the moment, I'm going to give that to you raw. It might be boring. I don't care. Here is that. And you can look forward to a video from me every week, just chronicling this little journey that I'm going on. Haven't had a single peptide yet. That's coming. But I'm in the research and development stage at the moment. Anyway, without further ado, here is. Hi there, I'm Matt, and welcome to Bone Deep. If you don't already know me, I'm a performer, a fitness coach, and I'm an aspiring wheelchair tennis player. And I'm living with osteogenesis imperfecta, or brittle bones. I was born with this condition in 1987, so I'm 37 years old at the time of this recording. I had broken more bones than Jackie Chan by the time I was 12 years old, which is a fact that I was weirdly proud of and also completely hated. In my, say, late teens, early 20s, I started getting interested and involved in fitness. A lot of that was because I wanted to overcompensate for not feeling manly enough as a youth, and I dived headfirst into martial arts, starting with ninjutsu, and got into many other things until I started dancing at the age of 23. And I was a dancer, professional dancer, touring, performing, and whatnot. And I did that for about 15 years. And now I work as a very exciting social media manager where I write Facebook posts for local businesses. It's riveting stuff. So this series, Bone Deep, it's a little bit of a blog, it's a little bit of a documentary. I am documenting my experiences as I would like to journey with experimenting with peptides, a relatively new frontier in health and regeneration. And this is a potential way for me to strengthen my body and improve my overall quality of life. So, osteogenesis imperfecta, or OI, has always been a part of my story. I've always had to push past its limitations and push past, these breaks and fractures of bones that I'm constantly going through. And I think that is where my interest in health and fitness and dance and anything active stemmed from, because I was so sick of feeling fragile as a child and a youth that I just really wanted to, I guess, overcompensate and do all those things I missed out on as a kid. So the biggest example of overcompensating here was when I found I really wanted to dabble with martial arts. I dove into ninjutsu head first because I grew up watching the Ninja Turtles. I grew up watching Ninja Scroll, and I really shouldn't have been at that age. And I just grew up absolutely fascinated and loving ninjas. So yeah, man, ninjutsu, bang, no worries. Surprisingly, I never broke a bone while I was on the mat or in training. Um, Broke plenty of bones like outside of the dojo. Actually, I remember one time when I was training for my black belt, which I never achieved, by the way. But anyway, I was training for my black belt grading, and we were training with live blades, as you do, because you're a bunch of hormone hyped up young men. And I was doing this really cool kata, and I forgot what it was called, but it was like the attacker comes at you with the sword, and while they're striking down, you like do a combat roll off to the side, and then when they turn around to strike at you again, you like give them a thumb in the guts, and that actually really hurts, and they'll make you drop a sword pretty quick, smart. But anyway, yeah, cool stuff. And I had this like and then throwing shurikens and all sorts of wicked shit. And I get home and I'm like pumped, man. And I'm trying to explain to my housemate at the time what I had just been doing. And I was threw my arms up and I hit my hand on the window and I broke like 3 fingers from this. Like rolling around with swords, no worries. Punching people in the guts, no worries. Flick my hand on the window, excitedly telling the story about just doing all of that cool stuff. Bang, broken fingers. I've fallen out of trees and been okay, and then trip over an ant and in hospital for like weeks. Osteogenesis is crazy, dude. So currently I'm taking the alendronate, the bisphosphonate treatment. I'm taking an oral one, 70 milligrams, just once a week. And I've been doing that since I was 18. It's improved my quality of life quite a bit. I am quite aware of a few of the nastier side effects of this medication. And that's actually one of the things that's wanted me to try these peptides, because if I can get onto something a little bit kinder on my body, might be really cool. But for now, look, I'd rather not be breaking bones than breaking bones. But in the last 3 months, my story's been a little more on the breaking side. I woke up one morning in August this year, 2024, and I had a really sore neck and some nerve pain shooting down my left side. I went to the hospital and there were no signs of stroke, so they sent me home. And then I was like, oh, this isn't really very good. So I went and had a massage, and they gave me cupping, and my left side went completely numb. So went back to the hospital. They checked me out again, no signs of stroke. So they sort of like, dude, you're not immediately dying, so like just go home. Come call us if you have any more problems. And so I went to have a float in an isolation tank. Oh, if you haven't tried that, give it a shot. Really recommend. Like it's one of those things. If you're not aware of this thing, it's got it's like a capsule, closes down. Maybe don't try if you've got not constipation. If you're scared of small spaces, maybe give this one a miss. And so yeah, you get inside. It's got this. It's like kind of half filled with like salt water, like high density salt water. So you float on the top, and then the thing comes down and it deprives you of your senses, like it deprives you of your sight, deprives you of your sound, and then when you've been sitting there for a while floating on this water, you start to lose your sense of touch even, and it's hard to know where your body ends and begins. And the result of this is like just the most intense relaxation. Again, if you're not claustrophobic, that's the word. If you're not claustrophobic, it's very relaxing. I can imagine if you are claustrophobic, this might not be for you. Anyway, so the idea was like, oh, I'll try this thing out. I'll relax all the muscles around my neck, and then maybe this nerve pain will, relieve itself a little bit. And that's not what happened at all. I was in intense agony after about 15 minutes in this thing. I tried to like brave it. I was in intense agony already, but I tried to brave it out. I got to 15 minutes, pressed the emergency button, and was like, all right, I'm going to have a shower, get dressed, and go to the hospital. They did some CT scans. They found I had some fractures in my neck, 2 fractures in my neck, and that I had a bulging disc, and that was pushing a nerve into the fracture and then pinching it. Um, and then I just, had a shit time for a couple of months. Like I couldn't sleep. Um, And so, yeah, tried some painkillers specifically for nerve pain. That kind of cleared it up. And once that started to clear up, I started getting back into my regular routines, going back to work and whatnot. And then I had a sneezing fit at work because, it's currently, at that time it was spring, all the crap coming off the plants, getting up your nose. I got terrible hay fever, so I had some pretty violent sneezes. And this one broke, well, the X-ray shows two broken ribs and then two pretty suspicious looking ones. So I'm counting it as four. I fractured four ribs, and then a week after that, I fell over and I broke my left hand. It's I just had it taken out of the cast last week. I can't quite do the hand things, but I'm getting there. Like just a little bit of uh, therapy and whatnot. So yeah, I broke my hand, and then a week after that, I had another sneezing fit. Did the ribs again, and I've just been like really incapacitated the last 3 months. I had to rent this big armchair. This is like one of those ones like you see in a nursing home, and so it goes all the way back and comes all the way forward and kind of like rises up and tips you out a little bit. Um, and this is because I can't sleep in a bed at the moment. I have a lot of pain in my ribs, and then because my ribs are hurting, I'm breathing shallower because I'm not breathing enough. I'm sort of gasping for air, which is hurting the ribs, and then it's just this vicious cycle. So I was like admitted to hospital like maybe 8 times or so over the last 3 months, and it was just a little bit too much. Anyway, so to condense that down, so that's kind of a snapshot of where I'm at medically at the moment. And this is a very different space to being like, training for your black belt in ninjutsu and stuff. And, we all get older and our bodies change, stuff like that. But it's just such a dramatic change in my body. And I don't want to take this sitting down. I want to try anything I can to, hold into my quality of life just that little bit longer. Just do things for a little bit longer. And so I decided I'm going to experiment with peptides. Everybody's talking about them. Um, of course, this is the sort of thing that a doctor is going to advise me against, and I respect that completely. I'm going to do as much research as I can and do this as smart as I can, but I'm still going to do it, man. I'm going to take a shot, and I want to use this platform to kind of document my experience, so that if things work out well for me, then maybe this can be a little bit out of evidence for us to encourage people to do some more clinical trialing of this, especially you know um, in regards to osteogenesis imperfecta, and explore this as a treatment option. And if I react really badly to this, then that could also be some great documentation to be like, hey, maybe, if you are looking to try this, be a little bit more careful because look what happened to that guy. Um, so yeah, either way, I just want this to be evidence of, that could help to inform somebody else's decision about taking these sorts of things. So I guess that kind of brings me to talk about exactly where I am at right now. So currently, I just talked about these injuries that I've got. Kind of on the way to getting better. Like I mentioned before, I've got my cast off. I'm starting to do like, my hand exercises. Um, I'm starting to get into a general fitness regime as well. Like, I've been pretty inactive for the last 3 months. So I'm doing like fairly. basic level workouts, using resistance bands. I'm currently using a 7.5 kilo band to do most things, and doing everything from my you know adductors and abductors, leg workouts, and hamstring curls and extensions and whatnot. Of course, my biceps and tricep extensions and curls. Um, and doing all of this with the resistance bands, either tie it on myself, or I can, in my hand that I can grip, I'll grip it, and I'll just, do these things. A lot of it, well, some of it to be chair based, a lot of it standing. Um, and yeah, I consider this a pretty basic level workout. It's certainly not where I was at when I was, dancing. But it's better to start somewhere, than to sit in an armchair and reminisce on days past. So that's where I'm at the moment. Mental health wise, I've lived with depression for as long as I can remember, really. Um, I started taking escitalopram every day because earlier this year I had some suicidal thoughts. And currently I'm not having those thoughts and feelings. At the moment, I'm just pretty stoic and I'm looking at things quite objectively. I think sometimes having health problems helps me to just put my priorities in check and to just, um, I go into problem solving mode. Like, okay, my body can't do this. So what do I need to do to make that better? Or what do I need to do to make such and such hurt less? And that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Um, as I mentioned before, I was interested in being a wheelchair tennis player. Like, I don't use a wheelchair full time, I use it part time, but I want to have more things to do in times that I do need to use the wheelchair. So I started wheelchair tennis and I've been enjoying it. I'd like to try and get to a level that I can play in the 2032 Paralympics. Um, it's like 8 years away. I'm going to need those 8 years because I'm pretty atrocious at it, if I be completely honest. But being shit at something is the first step to being kind of okay at something. So, you know, let's not be too negative about that. But yeah, I want to get back into playing wheelchair tennis. Obviously, I'm going to have to start from level one again because with my hand and stuff, I'm really going to have to find my way back into that. Um, but all these kind of goals, all these kind of things, I think are really important to not feel powerless, not feel helpless, which would be easy to do in this kind of situation. And honestly, like, I was so much healthier at the start of the year, like, just, maybe not healthier, but I was without injuries at the start of the year. And I just, I'd rather have that body, you know what I mean? Like, but then again, I'd rather have the mindset that I have now. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm happy, but I'm a lot less sad. Um, I'm not currently taking the escitalopram. When things really started to go south with these injuries, I just didn't have the time to go see the doctor and get a repeat on my prescriptions. So I haven't been taking that for probably about 2 months now. I managed to get a repeat on those prescriptions, and I'm just keeping it aside that if I do feel the need to start taking that again, I've got some handy. And of course, that's under the advice of my doctor. But yeah, I'm currently not taking it, and I'm currently feeling okay. Um, but definitely, yeah, I think it's out of my system enough now that if I was to, I wouldn't expect any interactions from peptides. The So I'm also about a week now. I've been not taking painkillers for all of my things going on. Um, I was taking morphine at only about 25 milligrams per dose. Um, and yeah, so I'm off of that. I'm still feeling the effects of like coming away from that. I'm not feeling itchy, but I am feeling like pretty slow, pretty dopey. And I'm been hallucinating a little bit, like just every now and then I'll see something like run across the corner of my eye and I'll be like, oh, what was that? Oh, nothing. Okay, just a hallucination. It's all fine. Um, I'm sure that'll clear up sooner or later. And I was taking pregabalin, which is like a nerve painkiller, a painkiller for nerve-based pain. And I have been off of that for probably about 6 weeks now. I did a whole like weaning program from that. That was for my neck, which seemed like I've got all my movement back from my neck, or at least as much as I had before, So like all that's feeling pretty good. I'm still doing like my little exercises and whatnot for that. Trying to do lots of exercise that sort of like strengthen the shoulders and all that kind of area, so I can sort of relieve the pressure on the bulging discs that I've got there. And yeah, I'll get into that in another episode. Actually, I'll get more into like fitness and things later. But as a little intro to where I'm at now and what I'm doing, like I feel like I'm ready to start getting back into fitness and stuff like that. I'd like to get back into the gym. I'm not rushing that because, of course, like with my hand and things, like I don't want to go into weights like a bull at a gate and end up back in hospital. So I'll take that fairly slowly, but yeah, definitely want to get back to, like I used to be able to deadlift 100 kilos, and I'd like to, get back to that kind of level. Um, so yeah, there's my goals. Hashtag 2020. Um, Hashtag start today. The objectives of Bone Deep, this little series, is really all right. So for a start, let me be clear. This is an experiment. I'm not a doctor and I'm not making any recommendations. This is about exploring the possibilities and sharing what I find along the way. I would like this to be a resource for people who are interested in trying peptides, especially if you also live with OI and you're looking for other options. But at the same time, my experiences and results may differ very from yours. And don't use this as your only point of information. Like, do as much research as you possibly can. I'm going to do as much as research as I possibly can, and I'm going to document that journey along the way as well. So, yeah, to summarize all this, lately I've noticed my body is starting to show signs of weakening again and fracturing from things like sneezing and minor falls. And it's just not something that I'm willing to accept lying down just yet. I want to do more stuff. I want to experience a little bit more life. And, I'd really love this to be a conversation as well. If you have questions, ideas, or topics you want me to cover, like, please let me know and reach out. And as I get more experience with this platform, I can start to do more things like live chats and really engage on this journey more with people who know more with me and also people who want to know more. Um, so let's keep this as much as a conversation as we can. So yeah, so yeah, gosh, in saying that, this journey, it's a lot more than just about me. Um, it's about challenging the limits of what's possible and hopefully creating something that's going to be meaningful for others navigating with similar challenges. Next time, I'll dive more into the specific peptides I'll be using and why I chose them, and I'll be documenting my progress. And that's all for now. See you later. Oh, I almost forgot. If you're interested in following this journey, hit subscribe, like, and share it with anyone who you think might benefit from this project. And let's dive deep, bone deep. So, I've been talking about peptides for a little bit now. And if you're not already familiar with them, what exactly are they? Well, peptides are short chains of amino acids, acids that just sort of naturally exist in our body. And some of some people believe, okay, let me start that again. So I've been talking a little bit about peptides now, and if you're not already familiar with them, what are they? Well, peptides are short chains of amino acids, and some people believe that they can help with like tissue repair and reducing inflammation, and even promote like bone strength. So while research is currently pretty limited, I'm really curious about the potential. So the two peptides that I'm looking at trying, one is CJC-1295. It's a growth hormone releasing, they call it an analog. It's a string of amino acids. CJC-1295 is a synthetic peptide that's designed to stimulate the release and the growth of, sorry, let me start that again. So CJC-1295 is a synthetic peptide that's designed to stimulate the release of growth hormone within the body. It works by encouraging the overall natural production of growth hormone. And this can help with tissue repair, it can help with recovery, and it can just help with overall vitality. CJC-1295 combines about 20 amino acids, and it's often paired with other peptides to enhance the effects of them. You can think about it as giving your body a gentle nudge to support its already natural healing and growth processes. And the other peptide that I'm interested in exploring is BPC-157. BPC stands for Body Protection Compound. And BPC-157 is known for its powerful anti-inflammatory properties and its healing properties. It's originally studied for its role in gut health, but it's also been used to help with injuries and just general inflammation throughout the body. It's like a system, it's like a repair crew, and it potentially can aid in recovery from injury or tissue damage. So imagining that these two things together will like be firing off my little dudes inside that go around and fix shit. And, I'm hoping that they'll, for a start, like help recover from muscle growth and generally bulking up. But at the same time, once they're already there, I'm hoping that they'll start to look at old fractures and old tears and old tissue, damage, and start to fix those things as well. But before I continue, just let me be really clear with something. This is completely an experiment. I'm not a doctor and I'm not making any recommendations. This is about exploring the possibilities and sharing what I learn along the way. But the reason I'm documenting this is because I would like to create a resource that encourages further study and further clinical trial of these peptides, especially for the treatment of chronic conditions. And if anything bad happens to me along this way, I would like this to act as documentation for that as well. And again, to further study the use of these peptides in treating chronic conditions. So this kind of brings me to the objectives of Bone Deep and this whole overall project. I want to understand better how peptides affect my body specifically, and I want to create a community resource and provide documentation for others living with osteogenesis imperfecta or similar conditions, and really just to encourage more research into this. If you see this and you're also excited to try peptides, please consult with professionals before you do so, because our bodies are all different. My results might not be the same, and that might be in a good way, that might be in a bad way. But I think we just need to, I really can't stress enough that this is completely experimental, and I take full responsibility for myself and my body, but I don't take any for yourself and your body. That's your responsibility. And the third objective I'd like to see out of this is more scientific dialogue. I'm really hoping to inspire more research and to overall see improvement to treatments for OI and for other conditions. So what I'm hoping to gain out of this is improved bone resilience and fewer fractures. I want to injure less, of course, and I also want to recover faster when I do get injuries. I'd like to know if peptides can be a viable option for the treatment of osteogenesis imperfecta. I'm aware of many side effects that come with the medications I'm currently taking for it, and I've spoken to many people who are completely against the bisphosphonates, and they don't want to know about it. It's considered a poison, and I mean, look, let's look at it objectively. It is. Um, Bisphosphonates, in a really layman's way to talk about it, bisphosphonates are a compound that poisons the osteoclast cells, the cells that um, break down bone and redistribute that material around the body. So the idea is that your osteoblasts are going to be working as hard as ever to create more bone, and your osteoclasts, the guys that chip away the old stuff and take it to be used elsewhere, there's going to be fewer of those dudes doing that job. So there's going to be a lot more of this old bone making up your skelly works, and in theory, well, not in theory, it practically does increase your bone density, but that can cause problems, and that's not for me to talk about. That's for a much more experienced and knowledgeable professional to discuss that. But hopefully, I will get the chance to talk to one of those people in this series, and that'll be super cool. Uh, so, in the structure of this series, what you can expect from me over 2025 is a bit of a weekly update, including like the protocols of what I'm using and why. Any observations, like physical and emotional changes that happen along the way, and medical feedback and test results. I'm going to be consulting with doctors as much as I can during this journey. I'm going to try and consult with medical professionals before I try peptides, so I can try and predict any interactions with the things that I am currently taking or am not currently taking, and just really try and go into this with as much knowledge as I can. And also, I fully accept when I'm going against medical advice as well. Um, like, look, for example, there's not a doctor on earth that would have suggested that I do dancing, but I did do it, and my health and my quality of life improved from pursuing that activity. Um, but that is, again, an anecdotal story. So what might work for me might not work for everybody else. But I certainly think that sometimes taking your own well-being and your own health into your own hands is can have better outcomes for you.
Oh, Matt. I'll see you in the next one.